Now, Freezing Moon is an E chord. Okay? Yeah, let's see. This light I'm using to help you see is not helping too much. Is that better? Okay, so we hit the E. And what we're doing, we have the whole E chord. What we're doing is we're hitting the first three notes, letting it ring out. Okay? And then you hit the open E, B, G. And what I want you to do when you pick it is pull back your picking slightly so you're picking as close so you're going to get a little like a higher trebly sound, almost like a little sitar vibe by picking it in this. See, and actually how I pick it is you see my hand moving diagonally? When we pick, you can pick forward, and then as you're picking backwards, you retrace that. Or you can pick forwards and come down on a 45. Okay, now if I'm not mistaken, Ishan from Emperor picks along that way, but I pick the opposite. I found for sweeping it's good to right? So I got used to going forward with the sweeping motion. Now, like I said, Emperor and Satyricon and Mayhem use the style where they use the whole chord, okay? But this is where it's very important to learn how to stop particular things from ringing out or have them not ring out as loud, because when you're playing live, you may want certain strings ringing out and not others. Well, the only way you can do that is by learning control, and control only comes from practicing the double palm muting, using various parts, especially of this hand, to help mute strings and to control them, and controlling the tension. Okay, so the Emperor or Freezing Moon from Mayhem just starts off with the top, the E, and then you skip to the most bottom string and rake back up the three notes. And that's the most important part of the lick I wanted to demonstrate. And then the second part of the riff is at the fifth fret E string and 7th fret A string. So you hit it once at the 5th fret, slide up to the 6th fret 5th chord, hit it twice, and then descend down once on the 5th fret, once on the 3rd fret, and once on the 1st fret. right, now I'm going to quickly get my drum machine started, and I'm going to show you a riff from the song from my band Dead Letter. The song is called Grinding and Gnashing of Teeth. If any of you are familiar with Dead Letter, you're definitely familiar with that song. And what I'm going to do is just one song in particular, or one section in particular, has use of an open chord with some notes ringing out. And I'd just like to show you as an example, this is how I've used that technique. All right. Right? So what I'm doing is I'm mixing a melodic line, and then I'm ending that run, and that line is actually derived from a string skipping idea, and then I end each phrase with that E chord. Now that end chord is used 4 different times because I repeat that riff 4 times, right? Now, every time I play the chord, I will not sound it the same way. Okay, I'll usually break it up. So the first time when I hit it, I'll have more of the low end sounding. Then once I repeat the riff and I hit the chord again, I'll hit it so more of the high notes are sounding, right? See, that way it breaks up the monotony and creates some a melodic, interesting, variation. All right. So we've gone through the melodic style of playing. I used the Gorgoroth Building a Man as the example. We then touched upon the dissonant style, the use of diatonic chords, as well as droning notes, which can be created by open strings or by a string that you've barred. And then and I showed the Dark Throne Transylvanian Hunger and the Nargothrond song Seven Tears Are Flowing to the River. In those examples, I also tried to point out how you're going to practice some of the things we've touched upon, and the things you always have to keep in your mind as you're practicing. And then we ended by this last technique, which can be used in either melodic or the dissonant styles, but it uses an entire 6-note chord barred, and different notes and different things are allowed to ring out. And I showed Mayhem's Freezing Moon as the example, and then I just threw in my use of that technique mixed with the melodic run, based on string skipping, and that's from Dead Letter's song Grinding and Gnashing of Teeth. Now there's one other little thing I just want to demonstrate real quickly. This is using speed picking, right? And this is all of the metal speed picking techniques we've discussed and gone over. but I want to demonstrate it in a little bit of a less black metal style, right? I don't even know what you'd consider this. This is just me jamming something that has a little bit of a groove, but it's obviously different from the black metal I play. But I want to demonstrate this so you can see some of the different things and sounds you can apply your speed picking to. Alright, that's just an example of using speed picking for something not black metal. It's obviously a little metalish, but it's a little bit groovy. But just the point is your speed picking is a technique that can be applied to any musical context. We're just using it for black metal. That's the main thing we do. You know, metal is our bread and butter. No matter what other music I like, metal is always at the core of what I do. Even if I write a song in a non-metal format, metal technique and just a metal edge pervades everything I do. You know, metal's a total way of life, a way of thinking and relating to the world. And but I don't want you to think that you're going to be limited to just using, you know, these ideas you're learning in this video just for black metal, because it will just improve your guitar playing just in general. Especially the idea of the double hand palm muting. That is one of the most invaluable things I can teach you. I hope I've conveyed it clearly. That and how to hold your pick, they're very big deals. And the way I've taught you to hold your pick will enable you to pick faster, because you'll be able to remain more relaxed because you're using your tendon strength. Now, I want to end this video by pointing out something. You know, we have the grip. We activate our tendons. Okay. Now, when I was saying to move the index finger and thumb like that to get different angles for you to practice, I'm not saying you should be picking by doing this motion. I am not telling you that. I am not saying to do this. What I'm saying is once you form your hand, try this position, this position, this position. Do you see my thumb? That position, okay, but you're not picking like that. That is 100% wrong. If you see anybody who picks with these motions, with the thumb and the index finger, they do not know the first thing about playing guitar. That is the most basic thing you learn, is to use your wrist, not to use finger strength. Okay, so I wanted to clarify. What I'm referring to is you're playing with different positions and holding that position, and then you're practicing to see how the pick sounds, and you'll see that you get different bite and different articulation. You know, it gets rounder and the sound gets fatter, and then it gets more tingy as you straighten it out. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. And the second part is you're not going to hold your hand like this, right? This is to train you to get used to packing your fingers in together and to activating the tendons. This shape, curling your fingers, literally activates the tendons in your hand and wrist. Okay? Once you're comfortable with it, you're allowed to do things with your fingers. Okay? But everything up to this knuckle shouldn't move. Okay? So now you'll see me when I'm picking, depending on what I'm picking, sometimes I will hook my pinky under my E string. Okay, so if I adhered to holding my hand just in this position, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd be violating my own rule. So so holding it very, very structured is important initially, but then you'll get used to. You'll see that I'll have my fingers as I'm picking. Sometimes they'll touch the strings. Well, that's because I'm muting them. For whatever reason, this hand didn't mute it right, and the fatty part of my pinky on the palm, that didn't get it right. So you'll see me, sometimes I'll touch strings. Other times I come down here and you know, I'll finger tap something. Alright, so I don't want you to be completely rigid about the technique, and some people like resting their pinky on the guitar, and if that's what you like doing, by all means rest your pinky, but make sure everything else has the curve. Alright? Keep the horns up.